Today, 1.6 million households will be receiving into their bank account £326. That's the first instalment of the £650 cost of living payment, as well as all the rest of the package. So £500 million are being spent.
How do people qualify, Doctor? Sorry to talk over you. How do you know if you're getting it?
Well, people who are on who've been on benefits by the 25th of May will be receiving that payment today, and indeed we're estimating up to about 8 million households will be receiving support either in the next week or indeed if they've been on tax credits just a little later this year. It's all part of our support, recognising the cost of living challenge that people face. The inflation spikes predominantly caused by the aftershocks of COVID, but also the impact on what has happened in response to the economic sanctions we placed on Putin after his invasion of Ukraine.
And I have a note here that some people, in fact quite a lot of people actually, nearly 1 in 10 will get a disability payment, and many pensioners are also going to be receipt of money. Again, could I ask you just for some brief details to help my listeners on that, Doctor?
Yes, later in the year we'll be supporting people on disability benefits that aren't means tested with an extra payment of £150. In terms of pensioners, there'll be an extra £300 to support with winter fuel. All households will get £400 towards the cost of energy, and many households, I think 8 out of 10 households, will have already received £150 in terms of council tax rebate. So together that's a comprehensive package for a person on low income of receiving about £1,200 in this financial year in order to have the support to tackle the cost of living.
Really grateful for that level of detail. Of course, you'll be aware, Secretary of State, no conversation with a prominent Conservative is complete without me talking to you a little bit about the leadership stakes it is. I understand you're supporting the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss. Can I ask why?
Liz Truss is a very credible leader candidate because she has a great track record of delivery. She's actually been in the cabinet for nearly 8 years already.
So we can blame her the state of the country then?
Recognising the broad range that she has of tasks that she's undertaken.
Kemi Badenoch, Tom Tugendhat can at least walk away from it a bit, but it all lays down to Liz Truss then, Dr. Coffey.
I'm saying she's been part of a team over the last 8 years at the very top of government in order to get a focus on whether it was aspects of, I remember going back to 2014, her leading the response to the flooding issues at the time. But most recently, of course, she's been Foreign Secretary and also our Trade Secretary. And I think she has shown that she's grabbed the opportunities that happened in terms of getting trade deals around the world, but also more investment into the country. And indeed, as Foreign Secretary, even this time last week, she was in Indonesia representing our nation and making sure that we secured that fast-track agreement for Sweden and Finland into NATO. So there is an element of where she has certainly always led from the front, and she has a great track record of delivery, and that's why I think getting a grip, the British people want somebody who's going to deliver our manifesto in terms of levelling up around the country, but also making that we have that grip and credibility, as well as making sure that we continue to grow our economy, because that is critical in the next 2 years.
Were she to be successful and to become the Prime Minister, and Boris Johnson indicated he'd like a cabinet post, should she welcome him back?
I think I'm focused on Liz Truss becoming the next Prime Minister. I think it's not about doing deals or giving out jobs. And Liz is not an arrogant person. She's very conscious that she has to win the trust of Conservative MPs, Conservative members, in order to win this contest. And later today, she is doing a speech where she'll be setting out more of how she plans to achieve that and what she wants to do for our nation.
Yes, indeed, we are going to be hearing from the Foreign Secretary. Do you think she's left it a bit late? Everybody else has launched their campaigns. Why is she so late with it, Secretary of State?
I don't think it's a question of being late. I think it's a question of making sure she intervenes at the right time. I think it's a case of, as I say, this time last week she was still in Indonesia. She hasn't been somebody who's had a campaign running for months, if not years. But nevertheless, she is somebody who has that credibility. She can walk into this job from day one, as she's shown. Some really difficult things she's been able to deliver. Getting Nazanin back in to this country, that's a really, I think, strong achievement, as well as, just her life experience. Going to school in Paisley, Leeds, and, she absolutely connects with people right up and down this country.
You sat with her around the cabinet table. Can you tell me a time that Liz Truss stood up to Boris Johnson?
I'm not going to talk about cabinet discussions, but I think she is well known for her views on a variety of ways on making sure how the best way to try and get dynamic growth, and she'll be saying more later today.
The Prime Minister said he will, yesterday at PMQs, I'm sorry, I don't know if you were present, I apologise, but I'm sure you've heard, he said he will leave with his head held high. Can he do that, in your view, Dr. Coffey?
Well, in terms of, I think that undoubtedly Boris won the 2019 election with a huge mandate for the manifesto. Of course, the challenge of COVID in between there meant that that became the focus of his government. But I think he should be proud the approach that was taken in terms of being the first country to get that vaccine agreed, the excellent rollout that we have done of that leadership there, as well as standing up to the Putin and leading the response, working very strongly with other nations around the world in terms of making sure that past, I'd say, mistakes have not been repeated. But I think overall what Boris will want to make sure is that levelling up agenda, because this is something he strongly felt. That is why he appealed to so many people around the country, and I'm conscious that that work is underway, and I think that will be the legacy of which he can be most proud.
Lastly, it was notable that you were one of the key lieutenants who did not resign under Boris Johnson last week. Why?
I think it's important that the machinery government keeps going. My department in particular looks after vulnerable people in terms of financial support. This time a week ago, we are doing those payments to people to over the course of the year, it'll be up to nearly 8 million households. And I think it's important that we kept the wheels of government turning. There are certain roles and powers that the Secretary of State has, and it was important that cannot be deployed by other people. And that was important to keep that continuity, absolutely, because my focus not only is the interests of the people that my department serves, but also to make sure that government continues to function, and it is functioning. I'm very proud to be part of that.
But did you indicate he should go, though, privately to him?
I'm not going to go back into the past.
Right.
I'm focused on the future, and it's important that we
you didn't give him
make
a
sure
prescription.
we've now got the opportunity for a new leader.
Doctor, to depart.
Sorry? Oh.
You didn't give him a prescription to depart, Doctor.
No, not at all. As I say, I'm not going to go back on the past. We're now in the middle of a leadership contest, but meanwhile, government continues to deliver, and I'm sure that those £326 landing in bank accounts today and over the next week will be very welcome.
Thank you for your level of detail on that. Always enjoy speaking with you. Thanks for your time. Dr. Thérèse Coffey is Work and Pension Secretary, appearing here on LBC, where the time is 2 minutes before 8. Let's get one more call at least in on the Uvalde video that has been played, but should it? Nick in Croydon, you're the editor. Would you have run that tape? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, I would, thinking about it. I've thought it through. I think it's vital you play it, Nick, because without playing it, the people will never know, firstly, how